Hey, what's up guys, it's Cher and welcome to my Shadowhunters review. Oh my god, it is so good to be able to say that again. Like, I feel like I was starving without Shadowhunters, and I'm so glad that my thirst is being quenched and I'm getting like food, you know. So the episode starts out with Alec and Magnus going to a warlock party because Magnus is no longer the High Warlock of Brooklyn, which means he needs to pass the baton over to the new guy, Lorenzo Ray. Now, Lorenzo, he's not the best person. He's not the nicest guy. So when Alec and Magnus go up to him, he's kind of snooty, kind of seems like an asshole. And he's like, he tells Magnus that Alec is his friend, and that irritates me so much. I really wish he would have corrected him. I'm his boyfriend, but you know, nice to meet you too, sir. But anyway, so they're at the party, they're all chilling, having a good time, and as time goes on, they notice something weird is happening and they feel their magic starting to kind of flurry, and it starts to move, and they're not really having the ability to control it. And then they notice that like a guy who no longer has control of his powers, like his magic is like eating him alive. So like he has his hand and it starts to like slowly like disintegrate and turn into nothing, into dust. Magnus though, he stops and he saves the day. Even though he doesn't have that much control of his magic, he still does this whoa, shoo, shoo, and then all of the magic like stops and everyone's magic is back under control. Now, I don't necessarily know if that was all Magnus is doing, but eventually everyone gets control of their powers again, and they're all looking around. And Alec couldn't even really do anything because not only does he like not have magic, but he was also protecting Madzi. And Madzi is the little girl from last season who they've both taken a very strong connection to and liking to, and he called her his favorite little sorceress, and I was like, oh my god, I feel the love. It was so precious. So he was protecting Madzi while Alec was protecting everyone. Well, while Magnus was protecting everyone. I don't know why I don't know names. The story moves on with Malec and Lorenzo Ray, and he goes to Magnus and he tries to tell him that he says the magic is very old and very wicked, and it has a very like sensitive like touch along the ley lines. And so Lorenzo Ray is trying to say that Ophelius, I think that's his name, aka Magnus' father, that he's the one who's interrupting the ley lines and he's making all of their magic go out of whack because Ophelius is a greater demon who and he's one of the princes of hell, I believe. I don't necessarily know what that means, but apparently Magnus' father is a prince of hell and he's got very wicked magic. So he's like, will you help me? He's talking to Alec and he's like, will you help me like figure out if it is him or not? And you could tell that he didn't want to tell him originally because he's very ashamed of who his father is, and he doesn't want Alec to think any different of him than like he does. He knows that Alec loves him, and Alec just reassures him that he's not going anywhere and that he is here to protect, you know, and care for Magnus, and just gives him that reassurance that like, I've got you and you're my man and I'm your man and everything's gonna be fine and we're gonna figure it out together. And so by figuring it out, what they do is they break into Lorenzo Ray's house. I don't know if that was the best idea in the world, but they don't really break in. Alec goes over and he's flirting with him a little bit, and he's like, you know, I'm just trying to figure out who messed up the ley lines, so will you invite me in and we can talk and stuff. And they're like drinking bourbon or whiskey and they're clinking their drinks together, they're cheersing, he's getting a tour of the house, all while Magnus is sneaking around trying to figure stuff out, and they're making funny faces at each other like behind the couch and stuff, and he's like, go upstairs, like stuff like that. And it was really funny and it was such a fun little snippet, but I was so scared they were gonna get caught. And Magnus did a lot of magic downstairs and he ends up like getting thrown back up against a wall, and Lorenzo Ray's like, did you hear that? And Alec's like, no, I didn't hear anything. Keep talking about, you know, you in this painting as a child, you know. Keep talking. Tell me about that. So Jace is still having a lot of dreams about killing Clary. Sebastian is usually in them telling him to kill Clary, and he's dealing with a lot of that. So in the end, he wants to do something very mundane with her, and he realizes that he's never really taken her out on like a real date. So he goes to Izzy first, and he's like, Izzy, you know Clary best. What does she like? Does she like the movies? Does she want to go out to dinner? Like, what's a really good restaurant and stuff? And Izzy's like, take her to a movie, maybe do dinner after. And he's like, I don't want to do anything boring. So, like, I need a little help. And she's like, well, maybe that's what Clary likes, you know? And he doesn't really take the advice from Izzy very well. So he ends up calling Simon. And Simon's like, how the fuck did you get my number? And so they end up having a conversation. He tells him a couple good restaurants, and then Jace rudely hangs up the phone on him. And it was kind of funny. So he figures out where he wants to take Clary. He tells her, we're going on a date. It's a surprise. It's going to be super fun. You know, let's just do our thing. And, you know, they go on a date. And that's all great and everything. But because he got the advice from Simon, he ends up taking Clary to the same place where Maya and Simon are having their date. So it ends up being this really cute, awkward double date type of thing. And it shouldn't have been that awkward, but it was really awkward. And I don't know if it was awkward because they've both kind of been with each other's partner. Because remember, Maya and Jace hooked up once, and Clary and Simon were in a whole relationship for a while. So I don't know if that's what made it awkward or what. I just feel like it was something. It was really something. So Clary's asking questions like, what happens to your clothes when you wolf out? Like, why don't you guys ever wear spandex? Stuff like that. They're just like really having conversation. And then Maya's like, I could never be a Shadowhunter because I wouldn't want to be covered in all of those tattoos. And then Jace says the girl with the butterfly tattoo. And both Simon and Clary are kind of like, what? You know about her tattoo? And then Simon says, it's in a really well hidden place. Did you see it after one of her transformations or something? And Jace and Maya are looking at each other, and he's like, dude, we just gotta come clean. And they were like, oh, so you guys did the do. Okay, that's fine. And then it just gets really, really more awkward, and suddenly they're rushing to get the check and stuff, and Clary and Jace go on about their business, and we stop and we stay with Maya and Simon. And she doesn't apologize for sleeping with Jace because she doesn't have to, and she was single at the time. And that's totally fine. Like, women can sleep with whoever they want without being slut-shamed or attacked for it, which did not happen in this episode, which I'm very grateful for. And we also got to see how Simon dealt with it. You could tell there was like a slight bit of jealousy because, like, of course, Simon would date two girls that also wanted to be with Jace. Even though Maya and Jace just kind of had sex once, like, it's still like, it's probably one of those things that probably messes with his ego. Because why does everyone pick Jace over him, you know? But she was single at the time, and they weren't together, so, you know, she can do whatever she wants. And she was like, it doesn't matter who I've slept with in the past, it matters who I'm sleeping with now, and I'm sleeping with you, and I love you. And I was just like, that's corny. But it was really cute, and it was really tender, and I really liked it. And I really hope that we see more of them as a couple. And I feel like they're really good together, and I would really like them to continue that way. I don't ever really want to see them, like, fall apart. They're really good for each other, I think. And Maya defends him to the gods, okay? So some of her wolf pack have come to her and told her that they want Simon out of their house and out of the Jade Wolf, which is where they all eat. And they're like, he smells because he's a vampire. We just want him out of here. And Maya's like, my sex life is none of your business. Me and Simon aren't going anywhere. So you guys need to, like, chill out or I will kick your ass. And she sure will. She sure will. And they feel probably a little threatened by that. So later on in the episode, they go to Simon and they try to kick him out, and they're telling him that they're here to make a move out of the boathouse and, like, he's gotta go. And he's like, Luke is gonna, like, be so mad at y'all when you guys try to, like, hurt me like this. Like, you guys are crazy. I don't know what you guys are thinking. You guys are stupid. and they go to attack him. And because he spent so much time with the Seelie Queen in the last week's episode, he got that brand on his forehead. When they go to attack him, he puts his arms up like this, but now he has like this magic Seelie rune on his forehead, and the magic blasts off of them, and he ends up hurting the wolf that was attacking him, even though all he did was put his hands up. But since he has that like Seelie rune on his forehead, it protected him. It's like the Seelie Queen used him for something, and then she protects him in return. I don't know what her game is. I don't know what she's planning, but I was so glad in that moment that he had that thing on his forehead. I was like, thank God, because if Simon gets hurt, or if he hurts one of the wolf pack, like, it's gonna cause so much more drama. So I don't know what the Seelie Queen is planning. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's there. It exists, and we're just gonna see what happens next, you know? It's just one of those things. We just gotta wait and see. Izzy and Luke have a really nice conversation about self-care. Isabel has been throwing herself into work after her addiction to... What is her addiction to? It was to Raphael, but not Raphael in return. She just liked getting her blood sucked by vampires. I don't see... It's been so long since season 2. Basically, she's trying to redeem herself from her addiction to getting her blood sucked. That sounds so weird. Anyway, she's dealing with the fact that she's not an addict anymore. Well, she's always an addict, but she's not using her addictness anymore. So she's been throwing herself into work and eating lots of candy, and she's been staying up late, and she's been super stressed out, all while they're still trying to figure out who is possessing all of the humans who are really normal, nice guys, and then they end up killing their family members, and they're trying to figure out why. So Izzy has been staying up late, and she's been trying to figure it out, and she has a conversation with Luke. And Luke goes ahead and he tells her, you need to start taking care of yourself, and you need to relax a little bit. You need to stop working so hard. You need to live a little, and you need to, like, not necessarily find love, but find some happiness outside of work and start doing things for yourself and make yourself feel good and make yourself feel happy. Like, you need to worry about how you feel, because how you feel is important too. And I know you're trying to redeem yourself and really throw yourself into work, but it's not going to help you at the end of the day. And they have a really nice conversation, and it's really warm. It was such a tender moment, and I love Daddy Luke. Like, I love when Luke puts on his dad pants and he, like, tries to save the day. I think it's really nice. So when Malec realizes that the power is not Magnus's father, they do realize it is very old magic, and it's very creepy magic, and it's very scary. They don't necessarily know what it is, but it's all through the ley lines. And they figure out the best way to help with the ley lines is by running angelic power through them, cleaning out all of the dirty magic and only leaving good magic. And the way to do that is super difficult. So Magnus has to move the ley lines around so they can be hit with the angelic power, even though they were separated. They weren't in the same place. All while the other Shadowhunters are pretty mad at Alec for wanting to do this and deciding to move the ley lines and move the angelic power. Even though they're really mad at him, they make it really difficult for him, and that in return makes it really difficult for Magnus. So he's using his magic, and he's like, I really need to get this done. We really need to make this work. Like, let's keep pushing, let's make it better. And even though it is super difficult, they do get the job done. And Malec had a really good episode this time. Like, they were very cute with one another and working together. And when they finish the job, they get it done. Alec has to move something. He uses his strength rune, and he clicks everything all together while Magnus is working his magic, and together they save the day. But Alec walks over to Magnus, and he's like, I did it. And Magnus looks at him, and he's like, you did it? And he's like, I mean, I had a little help, you know? Thanks for your help, man. I appreciate you. And it was really funny, but it was cute at the same time, so that was cool. All of the evil magic in the ley lines had everything to do with Lilith. She has been continuing to possess and sacrifice people, and she has been putting evil magic into the ley lines, and when they shot all the angelic power through, it stopped her, and it stopped her disciples from helping at all. She's like, this is a minor setback, but we're going to be fine. We're going to pull it together, and it's going to be fine. So they go ahead and they start working towards fixing it, but that's where the episode stops with Lilith, but she is the person behind all of the scarily lines and the evil magic and so on and so forth. So I don't know what she's planning, but it's something evil with evil magic. So Jace and Clary have a tender moment because Clary says, it seems like I'm the only person you don't want to sleep with, and he tells her how much he loves her and what he loves about her, and he goes on to say, I don't want to mess this up by moving too fast, because a lot of times I would sleep with girls that I didn't care about, and I care about you and I want to keep caring about you, so I want to take things slow. Because in the last episode he was like, I just want to hold you, you know, I just want to feel your love. So that's what happened in last week's episode. So he's continuing on that route, and I think mostly though, I think he's scared that he's gonna kill her. I genuinely think that's why he doesn't want to sleep with her. I feel like if he feels like they move too far, because that's what his dreams were about. They would start hooking up, and then Sebastian would show up and be like, kill her. So I feel like he's just a little nervous about that, and he doesn't want like his dreams to become reality, and he does end up like killing Clary, stabbing Clary, and so on and so forth. So yes, that was this week's episode. What did you guys think about it? I really liked Magnus and Alec in this week's episode. I think it was very tender. I love that we got to see Madsy again. I don't know why I always think these characters are gonna like show up once and then like never again. But she showed up again. She came back, and I was like, that's so fun. I was like, oh, look at the little baby. And it's kind of cool to see young warlocks and stuff like that. It's so interesting to me. So that makes me really happy, and I was so like happy to see it, and to see Alec and Malec like interact with kids. That's very fun because they're in a very domestic relationship. They continuously tell one another that they're not going to break up and they're always going to be together and stuff like that. So like it's really cool to see them like looking towards like, well, they're not looking towards it, but I'm looking towards it. I'm looking for a marriage. I'm looking for babies. I'm looking for the whole 9 yards, you feel me? So it was really nice to see them. I really like Jace and Clary, and I really like Simon and Maya, and I hope these couples stick around for a while. I hope they stay endgame. I would really appreciate if they did. What did you guys think about this week's episode? What was your favorite part? Leave me a comment down below and we can talk about it some more, okay? I will see you lovely guys next week, and I will talk to you guys later. Don't forget to leave me any comments, okay? Love ya. See ya. Bye.